I was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer at the age of 21 in 1995. Spoiler, best misdiagnosis ever. At the time, I was a concert pianist, a film composer going to grad school at USC to study with the late Jerry Goldsmith, and that all got shot to hell because my left hand stopped working because of the tumor. After surgery, radiation, I kind of like to say that I lost my life, but I didn't die, and I didn't really have a 20s. Long story short, still here, 10 years Omnicom, 10 years nonprofit, 6 years Google Health, and now I run a company called Offscript Health, which is the largest direct-to-consumer podcast network in the country. And I'm the host of a podcast that Liz and Melissa have been on. Well,
we got you on that one.
that went down fast. Called Out of Patience. And it's a pleasure to be here to represent the patient voice.
Where do you see Offscript and your life going with this?
So it took me 7 years wandering aimlessly through my 20s, with no quality of life and no friends and whatnot, to finally find another person like me, a peer. And aside, a niche peer, bald Jewish from New York, went to my university and was in my a cappella group. Niche peer. And he was on the board of one of those powerful policy groups in DC called the National Coalition for Cancer Survivorship. His name's Craig. And he said, Matt, I want to teach you how to be a cancer advocate. And I said, what the hell is a cancer advocate? And he basically summed it up really quickly. Whoever gets diagnosed next, you can help what they go through suck a whole lot less than what you went through. Done. Sign me up. And that resonates with all of us. How do we help the next us? Because when healthcare lands on you and your family, you're living in a supply-only economy. There's no demand. It's not like you want to buy a Toyota, you can research cars. I can't wait to get cancer and listen to Matt's podcast, said no one ever. So from that consumer perspective, who is protecting you at the federal level, at the Ralph Nader in the 1960s level, to guarantee, like a DA, you have the right to a navigator, you have the right to access to care, you have the right. Where is that protection in place where you don't just happen to be lucky to know Brad or happen to be lucky that a Google search did the right thing for once? Where in, literally, I'm old enough to remember when there was no Google and things were differently better. So from that perspective, my hill to die on, and where I think we're amplifying national voices and is elevating the platform of entitlement, which is a difficult word to define sometimes, that every consumer in this country that lands inside healthcare is protected from shenanigans.
MZ, what are some barriers you've faced? Being in a listener modality there, I know you do talks and stuff like that, but what's any challenges or barriers you face there?
Yeah, I always, history is a teacher, and being in advocacy since the early 2000s gives you a lot of perspective on how society and culture at large has come to understand its place and its power in consumer healthcare. And before the internet, they were just mailing lists and old paper and stamps and whatever. But one of the things that was given to me by Livestrong in its heyday was a sort of this dogmatic principle of collaboration is competition. And that stuck with me my whole career, is that good artists copy, great artists steal, but territoriality just ruins everything. And you can't control people's MOs and motives and what they want to do. It's turf wars, but it's about relevancy as less as is about, and your relevancy is your currency. What you do is irrelevant. So what I feel like are good success stories, at least in oncology in my career, was the young adult cancer movement, which was a thing about millennials and Gen Xers back in the 2000s died a whole lot more than everyone else because there were no systemic, nothing institutionalized about age relevance. And there was no one organization that said, I alone will do this. And I created a massive community of 140 organizations, Rising Tide. And here we are 20 years later, and just this year, a peer-reviewed published report reported that outcomes in young adults are staggeringly higher than they used to be 20 years ago. And that would not have happened if like one person said, go away, it's me. This is the we mentality, and the relevancy of how you get people interested and how you get them hooked and how you support them and how you give them ownership of their being pissed off, but the power to do something about it and help people like them.
Yeah.